It's already over. Drizzy just confessed and nobody noticed. Baby, listen, the fireworks didn't save him. They snitched on him. And by the time y'all finished clapping at the Toronto sky, the receipts had already leaked under the door. 3 albums, 43 songs, 1 night, 1 label, 0 accidents. Girl, this mess deserves a deep dive. So before we open this case file, tap that like button, smash subscribe like it owes you rent, and drop the word receipts in the comments so the algorithm sees us cooking. Because what I'm about to lay out, nobody else on this app is willing to say in plain English. They're too busy fighting over who won the beef. They missed the actual crime scene. Now sit down, let me spill it. Okay, you guys, picture the night. Iceman was supposed to be the comeback. 3 years of teasing, 3 years of snippets, 3 years of trust me, the king is back. Episode 4 of that live stream cosplay rollout was treated like a Marvel finale. Fireworks over Toronto, Shane Gillis showing up like a guest star in a sitcom that forgot the punchline, Akademiks finally getting an OVO chain like a kid drafted into a fantasy league. And then, right when y'all thought 1 album was coming, Drizzy quietly slid 2 more projects through the side door. Maid of Honor, Habibti. 43 songs, 1 12-hour window, all under UMG Republic. The same label he's publicly suing, the same building he keeps screaming wants him dead, the same machine he keeps begging for chart placements like it's not his hostage situation. And somehow, the same fans who spent 2 whole years yelling Drake needs to focus are now praising him for losing focus on purpose. That, baby, is the magic trick. That is the sleight of hand. While y'all are staring at the size of the release, nobody is checking the math underneath it. Nobody is asking who really wins when one artist drops 43 songs in 12 hours. Spoiler alert, it ain't the listener, it ain't the culture, and it definitely ain't him. Now, child, let me say the quiet part out loud because nobody on YouTube has the heart to. 3 albums in 1 night is not generosity. It is not ambition. It is not a Frank Ocean move, because Frank actually escaped his label, and Drizzy is still chained to us with handcuffs the lawyers won't unclick. 3 albums in 1 night is a chart laundering operation. That is the technical term. Look it up. You flood the platforms with so many tracks that every song scrapes onto the Hot 100 just because your stans have to stream them to keep up. Morgan Wallen already proved the formula works. He shoved 38 songs onto the chart in 1 week with a filler tape nobody actually digested. Drake looked at that and said, hold my chain, then dumped 43 songs into 1 rollout. If half of them chart, he breaks a Billboard record. If all of them chart, he gets the headline of a lifetime. First artist since Michael Jackson in 2009 to own the top 3 albums on the Billboard 200. And right there, in that 1 sentence, the entire illusion finishes building itself. He doesn't need a hit, he doesn't need a moment, he doesn't need a song y'all scream in the car. He just needs the headline to look like a moment. The headline is the song, the chart placement is the music video. That's it. That's the whole strategy stripped to bone. And once you see who is aimed at, the whole thing gets uglier. It ain't for fans, it ain't for critics, it is built for one person. The casual scroller flipping through their phone tomorrow morning who reads Drake, History, Billboard, 3 albums, and accepts the headline as truth without clicking the article. Drake isn't making albums for people who play albums anymore, baby. He's making albums for people who screenshot albums. And the second you see that, every weird decision starts making the same cold sense as a tax loophole. The art ain't the art. The art is the receipt. Sure is. Hold on, pause, because I need y'all to hear me say this part slowly. There is a leaked internal call sheet floating in certain Toronto creative circles this week that allegedly listed the 3 albums under 1 rollout code name. 1 project, 3 labels on the spine. If that's real, and a handful of mixing engineers are quietly nodding when asked if this was real, then this wasn't even 3 separate creative decisions. It was 1 corporate document with the word albums, plural, slapped on it. That's not music. That's accounting cosplay. That's a man in a glove pretending the spreadsheet is a microphone. Now hold on again, because Drizzy has run this exact playbook before, and the receipts are right there in plain sight. 2018. Scorpion, A bloated double album split into a rap side and an R&B side, dropped seconds after the Pusha T situation embarrassed him in front of the whole culture. What did Scorpion actually accomplish? It buried the conversation. Every blog, every podcast, every casual fan had so much new music to argue about that the L he took quietly slid into the rear view. Adidon? Forgotten. Streaming numbers? Loud. The wound got covered by volume. So now look at this current moment. He just spent 2 years getting publicly cooked by Kendrick on the biggest rap record of the decade. Not Like Us isn't a song anymore. It is a culture stamp. It won Grammys. It got performed at the Super Bowl. It became the bar every artist in his generation has to clear. And Drake's response? Dust off the Scorpion playbook, multiply it by 1.5, and pray nobody clocks the pattern. But the pattern is the story. When an artist runs the same defensive strategy twice, that ain't creativity. That's a coping mechanism with a release date stapled to it. It's given Scorpion 2.0. Sure is. Now, before y'all think it stops at marketing, the lyrics on Iceman tell on him so loud the studio walls are blushing. Track 5 is literally called Ran to Atlanta. Y'all hear me? That's a Not Like Us line. He named a song on his own comeback album after a bar from the diss that humiliated him. Read that sentence twice. Slow it down. Drizzy is so deep in Kendrick's head, he can't title his own music without quoting the man he's supposedly over. The biggest fan in the room right now, the one defending him in your comment section, is rapping back a Kendrick Lamar bar and calling it Drake's best song. That's cognitive collapse in real time, baby. And it gets worse. Too hard for the radio. The record is built on the same West Coast bounce DJ Mustard used on Not Like Us. Same rhythm pocket, same regional palette. Drake spends the first half almost restrained, almost normal, and then the back half collapses into him screaming Kendrick's name, mocking his height, calling out Mustard, and lecturing the West Coast on how a West Coast banger is supposed to sound. From Toronto to Compton with a catch-up beat, while Kendrick already has the mustard. You cannot script this level of cell phone. You really cannot. Even the writer's room of a satire show would tell you to dial it back because nobody would believe it. Now the streaming bars. Listen to this. Listen close. Drake actually wrote entire sections of Iceman accusing Kendrick of losing 100 million streams on Luther. That stat? Pulled from a parody account. It was never real. It got debunked the same week it went viral. But Drizzy either doesn't know that or doesn't care because his audience won't fact check him. They'll just scream the bar back at the screen. And by the time the episode 4 live stream ends, the camera quietly drifts into a fake bot farm where the visual implication is that Not Like Us was a botted song. The biggest rap record of the decade? Botted. According to a man whose own roster has been accused of exactly that for years. The projection is so loud you can hear it through the mix. That's the kind of accusation only somebody losing badly would build a whole set piece around. You don't need a bot farm visual if you're winning. You build the bot farm visual because you can't accept the song really was that good. But mind you, the bot farm shot is the most revealing moment of the entire rollout, and I'm gonna tell you why. Think about the budget that went into one scene. Storyboarding, set design, lighting, multiple monitors with custom graphics, camera operators, editors, color grading, a whole crew showing up to work to bring this idea to life. And the idea is what exactly? The idea is that the most commercially successful rapper of his generation paid a film crew to visually argue that the song that beat him was fake. He turned cope into cinema. He gave pettiness a budget. And here's the painful part. The crew knew. The director knew. The editor cutting that sequence absolutely knew. But the check cleared. So the bot farm exists now, forever, on the internet, as a permanent monument to a man who could not let go. Dropped it, literally erected a museum to his own L and called it a flex. Now, zoom out, because the real villain of this story keeps getting missed in every single video on this app. Everybody's so locked on Drake versus Kendrick, they keep skipping the actual antagonist. The villain ain't Kendrick. Kendrick already won. The villain ain't even Drake. Drake is the symptom. The villain is the algorithm, the streaming machine, the Hot 100 logic that rewards volume over vision, the Spotify model that pays per stream whether the stream was a human moment or a passive playlist refresh at 4 a.m., the TikTok loop that pays the artist nothing but trains the audience to consume music in 15-second slivers. That machine is the only thing on earth that benefits from a 43-song rollout. The fans don't benefit, the art doesn't benefit, the culture doesn't benefit, even Drake's legacy doesn't benefit. The only winner in a 43-song week is the platform that gets to bill itself as the biggest rollout in history. And Drizzy handed them that win on a silver platter while convincing his own audience it was for them. And now, y'all, here's the part that should genuinely worry every rap fan who actually loves this genre. Because once this strategy works, it becomes the new floor. Every major label artist with a wounded ego will copy it. Future drops a triple, Travis drops a triple, Migos members do solo triples. Suddenly, an album isn't an album anymore. It's a chart attack. The body of work becomes a body count. Listening becomes homework. Caring becomes optional. And in 5 years, when somebody asks you what the best Drake album of this era was, nobody will be able to answer because there's no album to point to. There's a list, a really long list, and lists do not survive history. Albums do. Thriller survives because it was 9 tracks. Good Kid, Mad City survives because it was 12. Take Care survives because the same man, the same Drake, used to understand the value of curation. He used to put songs on the cutting room floor. Now he's taping the cutting room floor to the album and selling it back to you as a director's cut. It's giving Spreadsheet the mixtape. Now, the part this comment section is really not ready to hear. Every one of those 3 albums is on UMG, Republic, the same Lucian Grange machine Drake has been publicly dragging for months. He's dissing the very company pressing his CDs, distributing his streams, paying his promo, and clearing his samples. There is no precedent in modern music. Frank Ocean walked. Taylor Swift re-recorded. Kanye burned bridges and built new ones. Drake is doing something stranger. He's staying inside the building and lighting matches in every hallway, hoping the smoke alarms break before the lawyers do. And his lawsuit makes it weirder. He's suing the machine. He's also feeding the machine. He's taking it to court while begging it for chart placement. That ain't strategy, baby. That's a man drowning in 2 pools at once, asking which has better water pressure. And while we're stacking contradictions, let me say something nobody else on YouTube wants to type. Drake will work with Future. Drake will perform with Future. Drake will let Future climb back in the booth like nothing happened. But remember what Future actually did. Future is the man who made Like That, the song with Kendrick, the first match that lit this entire fire, the exact record that put Drake in the position to get humiliated. And Drizzy forgave that. Drizzy co-signed that. They are buddies again. Meanwhile, J. Cole, the man who literally apologized on stage in front of his own audience, who pulled his diss off streaming because he didn't want the smoke, that's the guy Drake refuses to be in the same room with. Read the lineup again. The arsonist gets a feature. The firefighter gets cut off. That ain't loyalty. That's a man picking the easier opponent to forgive so he can keep the harder grudge alive for content. You only forgive who you cannot beat. You only stay mad at who you can still bully. The math on that is brutal once you do it out loud. And before you scroll past this section, ask yourself a new question. Who on this entire rollout is actually allowed to say no to him? Who has the standing to walk into the studio, hear a Kendrick name drop on track 9 and say, "Boss, maybe not"? The answer, baby, is silence. The room around Drizzy got smaller. The yes men got louder. The producers who pushed back are no longer on the call sheet. That's the part the headlines will never catch. The L is not just in the lyrics. The L is in the org chart. Now, child, I gotta say the quietest part. You can love Drake and still admit this. You can have grown up on So Far Gone, on Take Care, on Nothing Was the Same, and still say out loud with your chest that the man who made those records would never have approved his rollout. Old Drake understood an album was a moment, a frame, a single statement you let breathe. Current Drake is publishing tweets in album form and asking us to call it music. And he's doing it because he is scared. That is the part the toxic positivity crowd refuses to type. He is scared that if he drops one clean album, 12 real tracks, the comparison to Not Like Us happens in real time and there is nowhere to hide. So he dumps 43 songs on the floor and dares you to find one coherent statement in the pile. That's not confidence, baby. That is camouflage. That's a man hiding inside his own discography. Sure is. And here's where Iceman starts mocking itself. The cover is a glove, a clear nod to Michael Jackson, a reach for the kind of generational #1 Michael used to put up in his sleep. But to get there, Drizzy needed every fan to lock in on one song and push it to the top. Instead, he handed those same fans 43 different reference points, decentralized his own attention, diluted his own pitch. The very strategy he built to look like a king is the strategy that makes a king impossible. Kings have a flag. He just handed everyone a pile of confetti and asked him to call it a flag. Billboard might still give him the number, sure, but the culture knows the difference between a record that ruled the summer and a record that booked the chart for a week. But mind you, this is where it gets cruel. The man who keeps screaming about authenticity, about real rap, about who's from the streets and who's not, just released the most corporate album rollout in the history of his genre. 3 projects, 1 label, 43 tracks, engineered for chart manipulation, wrapped in spite, marketed with fireworks, performed in a live stream stage set. And then the artist sues the system while begging the system for the trophy. If you handed that paragraph to 2015 Drake, he would have written a diss track about the man he just became. That ain't a hot take, that's the math. The villain at the end of this story is the version of himself he refused to let go of. He is in a beef with his own old discography, and he is losing badly. Let me also tell y'all what's about to happen next, because once you see the playbook, you can predict the next move from a mile away. Within a week, the numbers come in. Some of those 43 songs chart, maybe most of them. The headlines hit. Drake makes history. The OVO socials go victory lap mode. The memes get posted. Then about 10 to 14 days later, the conversation quietly fades. Why? Because there is no anchor song, no center of gravity. Nobody can name the best track on Iceman without arguing with 3 other fans about it. Streaming drops off a cliff. The album sinks faster than Honestly Nevermind did, except this time sprayed across 3 projects, so the fall looks softer on any single chart. Then comes the predictable move, a surprise single, a guest verse on somebody hotter, a leaked snippet, anything to remind the algorithm he's still alive. Because Drake's relationship with the public is now identical to a Twitch streamer's relationship with chat. He has to keep posting or the room empties. The 43 songs aren't the album, baby. They are the lifeline. And listen, this next piece, this is the one nobody else has connected, and it's the cleanest fingerprint on the whole crime scene. Pay attention to the producer credits on Iceman. Not who's on the album, who is not on the album. 40. The number is right there. 40. The producer Drake leaned on for years to build his entire mythology. The man who scored Take Care, Nothing Was the Same. If you're reading this, the whole spine of Drake's golden era, and on the biggest rollout of his career, the comeback he has been teasing for almost 3 years, that name is barely on the project. That ain't coincidence, child. That's a fingerprint. When the architect of your golden era is not in the room for your supposed return to form, the building you're presenting to the public is not the building you used to live in. It is a set, a facade. The wallpaper is new, the doors don't open, and the lights have to stay on because if anyone wandered inside, they'd notice the rooms are empty. That is what 43 songs without your signature producer actually means. The math is hollow, the blueprint is borrowed, and the man holding the keys to the original sound has quietly walked off stage while the world claps for an impersonation.
So where does that leave Kendrick? The funny thing, Kendrick doesn't even have to respond. He already won by being absent. Every bar Drake aimed at him on Iceman only proves the obsession is one way. Kendrick isn't titling songs after Drake lines. Kendrick isn't building a fake bot farm in a live stream. Kendrick isn't screaming at a Toronto crowd that he's the West Coast now. Kendrick is sitting somewhere, probably with his daughter, probably with a coffee, watching 43 songs about him fail to land a single blow. That silence is louder than anything Drake could put on the track list. The longer Kendrick stays quiet, the more every Iceman lyric ages like milk in the sun, because a diss only works if the target flinches. Right now, the target is napping. The diss tracks are talking to themselves. 43 songs aimed at a man who has not picked up the phone. That ain't a war. That is a voicemail nobody is checking. Now here's what I need y'all to take with you when you close this video. When you see the headlines this week that say Drake made history, when you see the streaming numbers screenshot all over X, when the OVO accounts run victory laps with pastel chart graphics, remember what you're actually looking at. A chart laundering operation. A man who could not write his way out of a beef, so he tried to flood his way out of it. The exact moment a generational artist stopped trusting his own pen. And 10 years from now, when the documentaries get made, the timestamp on this turning point will be 12:01 in the morning. The fireworks will look smaller in the archive footage. The merch will look corny in the B-roll. And the only line anyone will quote from this entire era will not be from Iceman. It will be from Not Like Us, because that is the song that forced all of this. Every fan dancing to Iceman tonight is, whether they admit it or not, dancing to the gravitational pull of a record Kendrick Lamar made 2 years ago. And one final thing before I let y'all go. None of this matters if the audience doesn't learn to read it. The whole reason this strategy works is that most listeners stop at the headline. They see Drake won. They see Drake broke a record. They see Drake topped Billboard, and they close the tab. They never ask how. They never ask why. They never ask who actually benefits. So if there's one thing I want you to leave this video with, it's this. Stop letting the number tell you the story. Read the rollout, watch the rollout, time the rollout. Ask who is dancing, who is silent, who is suing who, and who quietly was not invited to the room. That is where the truth lives. The chart is a billboard. The chart is not the song. And the day you stop confusing one for the other is the day you become a real fan instead of a passive scroll. Sure is. So, tell me what y'all really think. Forget the OVO talking points, forget the toxic positivity, forget the Reddit threads. Drop one word in the comments, just one. Type receipts if you saw the chart laundering for what it is. Type loyal if you still believe Drizzy is moving from a place of strength. Type silence if you think Kendrick is making the smartest move in this whole situation by saying nothing. I'm reading every single one of them because this is the conversation we should have been having 2 weeks ago before the fireworks turned everybody's brain off. Y'all let me know. See you in the next one.